Hello, beautiful souls. My name is Jessie, and welcome to my Tiny Talks podcast, the show where we'll dive into self-love, inner child healing, and discovering your soul's purpose. I look forward to chatting with you every single week and helping you grow exponentially in all areas of your life. Without further ado, here's today's Tiny Talk. Hello, you guys, and welcome back to episode 11 of Tiny Talks. I'm so excited to be back chatting with you all. I just wanted to start off by saying that we hit 200 downloads on our first 10 episodes of Tiny Talks, which is so incredibly amazing and so hard to even wrap my mind around. So thank you all again for your continuous love and support. I couldn't and wouldn't be doing this without you. I am so excited to be back today talking about something that I've been kind of pondering what I want the subject to kind of be based around, and I really took a long time to sit down and reflect on this subject and what I wanted to share with you all today. So the preface of today's episode is surrounding finding your purpose, and you might be thinking like, holy smokes, how long is this podcast going to be? How long does it take? What is the secret code? What is the secret formula to finding your purpose? And you guys, I wish that I had all of the answers. I am strictly going to be speaking on my experiences and my experience of working with clients in the past and just different ways and tips and tricks on finding your purpose. So I first wanted to start off by reading the definition of what purpose even actually is. So the definition of purpose is the reason for which something is done or created or for which something exists. So I'm going to say that again. The reason for which something is done or created or for which something exists. So I want you to hold that with you all throughout today's podcast, right? Because we think about purpose and we always think, we go through life trying to find our purpose, trying to find our things, trying to find our passions. And your purpose for which you are here is unique to you. And the thing about your purpose, you guys, is that it can actually change as we grow and evolve and go through experiences. So I just want you to know that if you felt like you had a purpose at one point in your life, it is normal for that to change, and it's actually good for that to change because that smaller version of yourself or the younger version of yourself is no longer maybe where you are today. So I think it's always important to come back to what our purpose is, what our intention is for everything that it is that we're doing. So kind of the first thing that I have here about your purpose is that you can have all the typical things in life. You can have a job and a family and money and the best friends and all the bells and whistles and the external things, but maybe you're still feeling lost, or maybe you're still feeling like there's a gap or a void or there's something missing in your life. And that's typically when we're missing our purpose or that thing that makes us want to get up every single day and the thing that puts a smile on our face before we go to bed at night. It is our ambition, our desire, our deepest root in us of wanting to do something. And so finding your purpose is actually a tool, right? It's something that can help us feel better, happier, and to live a healthier life. I can think back on times where I was feeling really down or depressed or anxious or lost and confused. And it oftentimes was periods in my life where I didn't really feel like I had a purpose. And so if you don't feel like you have a purpose, what's the point of getting up and getting ready? What's the point of eating healthy? What's the point of looking after ourselves? Right? We have that really small, narrow thinking when we don't feel like there's a reason for doing things. So the reason why it's so important to find our purpose and to find those things that bring us joy is because if we have a purpose, it's something that you love. You're working towards something that you personally love and brings you happiness, which is just naturally in and of itself going to increase your self-love, right? How you show up for yourselves and how you show up for others. That's then going to trickle into your mental health, right? Our mental health and our purpose are very much intertwined and work together. So I really just wanted to preface, why it is important that we have that. And I found a pretty scary statistic when I was doing some reading on finding your purpose. And I'm not really sure how accurate this is or how they found this. It was a study that was done in the United States. And they asked several hundred people about finding their purpose, what that means for them. And only 25% of the people that they asked, roughly, had found their purpose or were able to give an answer for that question. 25%, that's only a quarter of the people that they asked were able to hardly confidently say, yes, I know what it is I'm supposed to do. I know what my ambition is. I know what my thing is. 25%. That is extremely, extremely low, right? When I look at that or I hear that statistic, all I hear is that the rest of the population, 75% of us, are walking around not feeling like we have a purpose, not feeling like we have something that we're working towards. And that is the whole preface of this podcast, is to help you all even try to find small things that give you purpose, that give you that spark to want to get up and work towards something. So what I did is I came up with a couple different ways. I came up with 7 ways that I think might be helpful at finding your purpose. And the reason that I did this is, again, I don't have all the answers. I wish that I could just give you a magic bean and say, listen, this is your purpose. You're going to find it. You're going to flourish. At the end of the day, you have to do the work. You have to do the digging. But it's a beautiful, beautiful journey and a process, and something that we should be excited about, to find those things that bring us joy. And so the first thing that I have on here that I thought of was to actually help others. And the reason that I think that that is a huge milestone and a huge step in finding your purpose is because we oftentimes find it easier to pour into others before we can pour into ourselves. However, oftentimes by helping others, so that could be volunteering, that could be helping others as far as maybe you are really great at building things and you want to donate your time to building something for your local charity or your local church. Right? Maybe you have an abundance of money and you want to donate some money, or maybe you don't have an abundance of money and you just have a little bit that you want to give. We never know how one thing could trickle into another. But if we're coming from a place of wanting to support others and give to others, oftentimes, more often than not, that's going to circle back and that's going to make us feel good naturally. And we might be able to find something there. The second thing that I have on here, which is actually something that I utilized when I was trying to find my purpose, which is asking those around you for feedback. And the reason that I think this is important is because oftentimes other people know us better than we know ourselves. Other people see things that we do in the run of a day. Other people notice the things that make us happy, the things that we naturally go and do, right? Other people can think of things that maybe make them think of you. So for instance, asking your mom or your grandma or your brother, whoever it is, what's something that reminds you of me? And oftentimes they'll be able to tell you. Maybe it's, oh, whenever I think of you, I think of cooking, or I think of helping others, right? We're able to get that external validation and perspective from other folks that maybe see things in us that we haven't seen in ourselves yet. And oftentimes, sometimes we're doing things so often that we forget why we're doing it, or when we even started doing it and what it does for us. So we could be going to the same job every single day, and it's just become such a routine and such a pattern that we forget to check in with ourselves of, how does that make us feel when we go? Where did this come from? What is the reason why I got this job in the first place? We might already be doing something that is in alignment with our purpose, but if we've become very stuck in doing it or on like a loop, we can forget how much joy that actually brings to us. So asking others for feedback is something that I would definitely recommend doing, just to see if it sparks some kind of conversation. The third one that I have on here is to surround yourself with the right and positive people. And I cannot stress this one enough for finding your purpose. If you are constantly around negativity or people that are bringing you down, you are actually stepping away from your highest self and your highest evolvement. That is naturally deteriorating your mental health. And if we are operating at a low frequency, low place, it is almost going to be impossible to find our purpose and to find the things that bring us joy if we are constantly just being reminded of all the bad things about us, the negative things, putting ourselves down. But if we can get ourselves around those right people, the people that feel right, and we know that because we can feel it in our heart when we're around them. We feel accepted. They want us to grow. They want us to flourish. They bring us up. They encourage us. They challenge us. That is a huge, huge thing to look for in friendships. Are they challenging you? Or are they okay with you staying where you're at? And again, at the end of the day, you are the only one that has control of that. But it is so important to look at your circle and to say, are these people wanting what's best for me? Are they willing to give me the hard feedback that I need to find the things that are in alignment for my life? So definitely making sure you're surrounding yourself with those right people. And that also causes a huge check-in of, how do I feel around these people? Are there some changes that need to be made? Do I need to get around maybe some other like-minded people to help myself flourish and grow, to be able to find my purpose? Which kind of leads me into my next point, which is starting up conversations with new people. And the reason that I have this point is because it can be a very eye-opening experience to talk with new people or to spark up a new conversation. And this is something that I'm also guilty of, but let's say you're out and about and you have to wait in line for something, or you're just noticing yourself out in public surrounded by people, but you're just on your phone, specifically if you're by yourself. We'll oftentimes go on our phones because it's comfortable, right? We don't want to make eye contact. We don't want to strike up a new conversation. Like, that's scary. But what if that one person you strike up a conversation with is that person that you were meant to meet? Maybe that's a conversation that's going to change your life forever. And I know this to be true because I struck up a conversation a year ago that's now led me to where I am today. And had I not struck up that conversation and gone to a certain event and said yes to a certain thing, I wouldn't be here right now talking with you all. And the thing is we never know who that one person is going to be. And we won't know that unless we get out of our comfort zones, strike up new conversations with new people. And that also allows opportunity to learn about other folks. Maybe you haven't even learned about something that someone is doing. For example, with myself, with my toxin-free journey and toxin-free living, I didn't even know what the heck that meant a year ago until I went to this event and learned about it and learned about my health and women's health and started to take that action into my own hands. And now it's my job to empower others to do the same. And I truly feel like I found my purpose within doing that, which then led me to gaining confidence to do these podcasts. But had I not struck up that one conversation and said yes to that box of oils and to beginning my toxin-free journey, I would not have a team of almost 100 of individuals that myself and my team has now empowered to begin their toxin-free journey. It's absolutely incredible what can come out of the unknown and what can come about when we step out of our comfort zone. So my challenge for you this week is, if you are out and about, just say hello to someone in the grocery store. Ask someone how they're doing intentionally. If you have a waitress or someone that is going to be in your circle for about an hour, get to know them. What is their name? What do they like to do? I know this can seem very, very odd to do, but we need to get to know people better. We are so scratch level with strangers. But if you even think about the friends in your life, the people that you know and love very deeply, they were once strangers. You crossed paths with them and came into each other's lives for a reason. And who's to say that waitress or that barista or that person in the mall or that person in the park isn't going to be your next best friend? We don't know that unless we try. The next one that I have on here is to just explore your interests. What are your natural patterns of things that you're good at? If you're active on social media, I encourage you to scroll through your Instagram feed. Where is there a pattern of things that you're doing? Are you always fixing things? Are you always cooking? Are you always with your dog? Are you always with your family? Are you always gardening? Are you always working on your vehicle? Exploring your interests allows you to recognize the things that you already love and are already doing, but maybe haven't identified that as your purpose, or maybe haven't connected that to a potential purpose yet. Right? Noticing the things that are just natural to you. They just spark joy when you do them. When we begin to check in with ourselves every single day when we're doing things, we can naturally get answers of the things that we really want to do and we look forward to doing, versus the things that we're like, ugh, I gotta do that today? Like, really? I don't want to. Right there, we know that it's not in alignment and therefore is not going to be attached to our purpose. If you're like, yes, I can't wait to have some free time so I can go work on this thing, listen to that. Follow that. That is likely your purpose and your highest self communicating with you. The next one that I have on here is a huge one, and this is also incredible for making a difference, which is, What injustices bother you? Or what things in the world just fire you up? Maybe it's world hunger. Maybe it's individuals experiencing homelessness that you see in your hometown, right? Maybe it's toxin-free living and women's health, hormonal health. Maybe it's fitness, lack of awareness of fitness. What are the things in life, injustices on a systemic basis? Those were very surface level, but what are injustices that just bother you? If something bothers you to your core, it is just natural for us to want to talk about it and to do something about it. I grew up my whole life having uncertainty about the world and just mental health in my mind and emotions, which led me to going to school for social work, which then allowed me to work in the mental health field. That was an injustice that I had in me that I knew I wanted to make a difference in. So what are those things in you that just cause you to feel angry, but anger in a way that you could take that anger and make a difference out of it, right? Fighting for something that you believe in. That is finding your purpose. If you are fighting for something that you believe in so deeply and that is so aligned, you are already on your purpose because you're following something that your heart and your mind is telling you is right and needs to be done. So what injustices bother you? I encourage you to ask yourself that question. Sit there with yourself and ask yourself, what things bother me? What things get me fired up? What things do people say to me and I just instantly turn my head and want to answer, right? We all have those things. We all have them in us. Search. I promise you that they're there. And the last thing on here that kind of ties into your interest, but it's, what do you love to do? Such a simple question we can ask ourselves, but what do you just love doing? If we can make a big list, sit down. I encourage you to sit down with a pen and paper and write down all the things that you love to do. Do you notice a pattern? Do you notice any correlation? Is there anything you can implement into a project or maybe into a side business or maybe into a charity or into a lifestyle, right? What are the things that you already love to do? Again, the definition of purpose is the reason for which something is done, created, or for which something exists. So if we're doing something that we love, it's going to be a lot easier for us to do something, create something, or make something exist. I know that these are very, very surface level and definitely require some work, but that is the whole point of finding your purpose. It is supposed to be a journey, right? And we know when we find it because it feels right and it feels aligned and it's almost like we feel a shift in our life. I know what it feels like and it is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. If you've been feeling in a slump lately, if you've been feeling just depleted and like you don't know where to go, the world's tugging you one way, but maybe life is tugging you in another direction, and all your past is pulling you in another direction, and you just feel stuck in the middle spiraling. I encourage you to go through those 7 things that I just listed. Intentionally show up on the back of your mind of asking yourselves, how does this make me feel? Does this make me feel happy? Does this make me feel aligned? If it does, there's a good chance that it might be in alignment with your purpose or there's something there that can spark purpose. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning into this week's episode of Tiny Talks. I truly hope that you took something away and that you're able to do something to find alignment and to find your purpose. We all have a purpose. We all have a dharma and a reason of why our soul and our body is here. We just have to search for it sometimes, but I promise you it is so worth the work and digging that it takes to find it. I hope you all have an incredible week and happy November. Thank you all so much for tuning into this week's episode of Tiny Talks. If you're looking to connect, you can find me on Instagram at JessieBrown13. I look forward to chatting with you all next week. And remember, get out of your head and into your heart.